Hi guys, it's Rachel here, and it's my first video back since we went away, and we are still going to finish up on this journal. So we filled up all of these pockets. I did those videos before I left, and I'm really pleased. I just added a little bit of washi tape there. I think I covered, as someone recommended, a staple on one of the pages somewhere, maybe a bit further on. I covered it with a bit of washi. So now I just folded this beautiful 1840 page in here and slid it into that pocket. I won't crease it too much, I'll just slide that in there. And I may put something colourful in there as well. So put that there. I've got to make something to go here. I was just going to play around with this tag. And then all of the other pockets are empty. I did clip that there. Just trying to see where I put that piece of washi tape. So how is everyone? I hope you're well. There we go. There's the washi tape that I put there. I have zoomed out a bit. I was left close in, I think, from my, I didn't put it up high enough from my, look at me, a little bit, against my will, I got a bit of a tan. I don't like getting a tan because it's bad for my skin. But I couldn't avoid it because, you know, that little bit of going to the beach had to happen because, you know, my hubby likes the beach. And so, yep, early in the morning, got there by 9 and left around 11, although a couple of days we had lunch, but, you know, under shade. I tried to stay in the shade except for when I was swimming. I did swim a lot, so that's probably where I got a lot of colour. The last day, all of the fair people got a little bit burnt because the other couple, they're fair as well. And they didn't want to be at the beach all day like me. We didn't go to the beach every single day. There's a swimming pool at the house too, so we did do that a little bit. So I've just stuck this on. This is one of my ephemera kits and a little piece of Florentine paper, and I'm just debating if I want to add anything else. I'm not sure that I do. I found this piece of paper here from when I was making these journals. So don't throw anything out because you can keep it, but I don't know if I really need anymore. I don't think so. I didn't put any glue under there. So it was incredibly hot down there. It was a bit torturous, to be honest, the heat. And so yeah, it was kind of, I think I'm going to take a piece of this. This is going to be finished in a minute. Scissors. And I'm going to staple it at the top. Yeah, the heat was a little bit torturous. So we did visit some towns, some lovely towns, like we did a little bit the beach in the morning and then come back and then go to town. But it was very, very hot. It was quite tough. I don't think I want it to be that long, so I need to snip that off. That there. I think this color is just going to work really well with the color in the and this is, I don't even know if this is old. It's just a piece of trim that I've got somewhere, I don't know. And I might put just, oh, I see I didn't capture that, so I need to put some glue under there. Let's grab this glue, it'll stick it, and there. The gentleman that is not always very nice to me, yep, he did not delude us. He was on his worst behavior, so it was quite a struggle, and he actually said some really nasty things, and so don't know what to do about that. It was quite stressful. There were 4 families, him in being in one of the families, and then his wife's, one of her best friends, and her husband. Her husband, he's actually really nice. I really liked him. I've met him before, like at their place quite often. But he's one of those. He's a super intelligent guy, and he quite often has a lot to say about things. And so I noticed that they weren't being very nice to him, and I think he was a little bit upset on that trip with them, It was quite awkward and difficult at times and a bit of a nightmare. The decision-making process was ridiculous, honestly. The behavior was incredible. I just didn't even participate in the decision-making process because there were too many people talking, and we just looked like fools, honestly. I mean, one day we went to this beach, and so there was also differences in opinion about, you know, what time should we go to the beach. And I'm like, well, I'm going early to the beach because I'm doing it for, you know, a health purpose, because I'm fair, you know, fair. I mean, I go brown, but I hadn't been in the sun all summer. It was like my first sun. And so I was just not even interested in, like, they just wanted to beach themselves is what they said. We're going to beach ourselves. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not beaching myself because you'll end up taking me to hospital. I'm going to leave that like that. I don't want to do anything there just in case, but that could be covered with writing paper. There, so they announced they were going to beach themselves, and I'm like, well, I'm not beaching myself. That's just not happening. And so there was always a bit of thing about, you know, the beach situation, and so I you know, the other couple, their friends, they were more for going to the beach later in the day, but there were so many people there, so many tourists in Puglia at that time, especially a lot of Italians, a lot of foreign people, but a lot of Italians go there. And so they I'm just trying to concentrate and gather my thoughts. I'm just wanting to create a little clustery thing to put here, slide it in there. Yep. So but then you found if you arrived a little bit too late, then you found it hard to park, and then worse than the parking, because they do have very big car parks in fields, was what was worse than that was you couldn't find a spot on the beach. Like literally within an amount of time, there would be the beach was completely covered with people. Like you couldn't even find a millimeter, and we were a group of 15 people, so you know, and they had all their equipment for beaching themselves all day, like umbrellas and things and stuff like that. So no, it just, you know, it wasn't happening. But that doesn't quite reach, but I'm just gonna put it on anyway. I'll put a little clip, I think, that can be used to make something. So what the point of this is just to put a whole lot of little things that can be used in a journal. Yeah, so they were beaching themselves. We weren't beaching ourselves. Oh my goodness, it was really, well, that was a nice long piece. Well, let's put this piece on as well. That'll hold it all together. So we would go and get the spot, and then they would come. But the first day they felt pressured. I told them not to feel pressured. I said it's everyone's holiday, so each family has to do what they want to do. Like, you're not allowed to feel pressured. But my the mean man's, we'll call him the mean man. His wife was actually, she's usually very soft and lovely, but she was, maybe because he's from there, she was a bit bossy, and let's say she was a bit bossy, and so they felt pressure, and they came to the beach. I mean, I'm a wild Aussie, so we're a bit wild at the beach. We don't, like, yes, we do bring umbrellas and stuff if you're planning on being there all day, but when I was young, I mean, you just went down with your towel and your thongs. Italians changed their swimsuit, but they go and rinse off in the shower, and they used to all their equipment on the beach, and they go and change their swimsuit, and they do this and they do that. We don't do any of that. Well, I don't. I did. My family didn't. None of my friends did. We were a bit wild, and would just come home with all the sand on us. Like, there's showers at Bondi Beach, and we'd just do a quick rinse and off we went. Anyway, so they would have all their equipment, and so anyway, they came down, and they don't like the wind, and they don't like this, and they didn't like that, and so they were very unhappy with this beach. And I actually liked the beach because it was on the Adriatic side. We were right down in the heel of the boot, just to give you an idea about where we were, at the bottom of the heel of the boot. And we, I think I'm going to do something with this. And so we're at this beach on the Adriatic side, because you could go on the what do you call it in English? Ionic side, which is not, goes around the heel of the boot, around to the other side, around towards the toe, or in the curve before you get to the toe part of the boot. And so yeah, we're on the Adriatic side, and there was what they call the tramontana, so there was a bit of a wind. But it made there were little waves, and I'm just thinking I want to put this on here. And there were little waves. They weren't very powerful waves, Aussie friends, but they were waves all the same, little ones. You really had to kick to get on it because it had no power. But Steph and I just go bananas when they're there, because we're just like two older people catching waves. So, I mean, Steffi, when he comes to Australia, when he comes to Sydney, you don't see him. He's just down at Bondi Beach every single day. Every day that he's allowed to go, he's off. He even gets the bus down there. He doesn't care. He takes my nephews and off they go, and they body surf all day. I really enjoyed it. It was windy. The water was nice, but it was obviously not as clear as it probably normally is because of the wind and the waves. It was kind of a cloudy day, which was perfect. I didn't get burnt. Put, layers and layers upon. I probably had SPF 150, the amount of layers I put on. And so anyway, we did our body surfing and absolutely loved it. And I came back onto the beach. I think we swam for about 2 hours. Came back onto the beach. And I mean, the faces. You should have seen the faces. Oh my gosh, the unhappiness at the situation was very evident. I'm going to leave that like that. I'm going to do a little clustery thing again. And so, yeah, I felt really bad for them. They just didn't like it at all. But I had a really good time. Wild Aussie. And I've got to tell you this. I mean, okay, if you're Australian, and probably Americans and anyone who lives in a city with beaches on the ocean, you probably grew up, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably grew up body surfing, if not surfing. I grew up body surfing, and I was also a swimmer, and I wasn't afraid, and I used to go in big waves and catch the waves all the time. And it was just something I really loved doing. And so I'm catching the waves as best I could, because they honestly had no power whatsoever. And the Italian man, who probably never caught a wave in his life, the mean man, as I'm catching the wave, I caught a wave with Steph, and it was probably the best wave out of all the ones we've got. And I said, oh, that was a good one, Steffi. And he's standing above me, because obviously I'm down in the water, coming off my little wave. And he says to me, almost. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who spoke to you? And and then he kept trying to tell me how to catch the waves. And I'm like, imagine the Italian man trying to tell the Aussie who grew up at the beach how to catch a wave. I mean, that's just very silly. I just ignored him. But I was just highly amused by that. That's really, I mean, I know I'm old and I don't catch the big waves anymore, but I used to catch some pretty big ones when I was little. Or younger, when I was Lulu's age. I wasn't scared. Isn't that pretty? I wasn't scared of that at all. And so I just was like baffled. He just always has to criticize and tell me, that I'm doing the wrong thing. And I didn't see him catch one. Like, he tried. He didn't do a good job, and then he gave up and just gave instructions. But anyway, as Steffi says, you just have to rise above it and ignore. So that's what I did. I wanted to put some of this vintage. This is a nice journaling spot or something to use to back things up. I'm going to put this vintage. I'm just trying to see what will fit in this pocket here. So that was highly entertaining. Steffi and I had such a giggle about it. Like, we thought it was so funny, him doing that. But anyway, we couldn't have expected anything less from him. Anyway, he did have quite a lot of nastiness towards me. He got offended because he asked me what, I didn't know that he was offended. I didn't even say it in an offensive way. We were driving around and we were going towards a town, and I did notice there was a lot, oh, I like that there. There was a lot of rubbish thrown on the side of the road, and it was a really pretty road with the most amazing olive trees that a gentleman told me they're like 2,000 to 3,000 years old. They're huge. I've never seen such huge, beautiful olive trees, and beautiful masseria. You could see it was all sort of restored and that sort of thing. And I did notice bags of rubbish going towards this town called Ostuni. I didn't see it everywhere, but some areas I did. And I don't know who threw it. Could be even be tourists who were disrespectful and did it. I don't know who did it. And I just said to him, I made an observation. He asked me what I thought, and I said I loved everything, except I was sorry to see some bags of rubbish they obviously are just thrown out of the car windows, and I don't know who does it. I'm not saying that the people from the area do it. It's probably the tourists that do it. I don't know. But I was sad about it. And from there, he didn't speak to me again. He told my husband that I felt like I was superior and all this stuff. He said horrible things. He spoke horribly about Australia. He's never been there. I don't think he's been beyond Bologna in his life. And yeah, he just went on and said horrible things. So I couldn't even tell you. Stefano couldn't tell me all the things that he said. I think he's holding back and not telling me. But anyway, he said basically he's never liked you. And I said, well, we knew that. That wasn't a surprise. I think he comes across to me as one of those men. He doesn't generally respect nor like women. He does his wife and a couple like other. He seems to. Sorry guys, I'm chatting to you while I just randomly make things. He does seem to respect nurses because he's a nurse. He does seem to have a respect for his same profession, but for anybody else out of the profession, it's a tough go with him. And so I sort of feel, I wonder whether he's a little bit anti non-Italians, and maybe a little bit anti-women in general. He doesn't generally appreciate women. That's always the feeling I've had. So I don't know. I don't know what Stefano thinks he's got. He's very competitive. He thinks he's got some kind of jealousy, but I wouldn't know why. But anyway, I think it's silly to be jealous of other people. It's a waste of energy and it just makes you unhappy. So I don't know, guys. I don't know why he has it in for me, but Steph's pretty angry with him, and we will only go to because we love the other people, and I do like his wife, even though she was very bossy and sometimes didn't behave the best. I did tell her off. I'll tell you other stories. I did have to say to Steffi, I thought she was a little bit aggressive, which is so unlike her. But anyway, there was a bit of tension in the group. It was a bit hard, and fortunately for everyone, I just sort of stayed out of it. Just sort of stood on the side and observed it all and didn't participate, because then if I get involved, I might get agitated, and I didn't want to make it, add to it, because it was all pretty comical. Yes.
Lunch is ready.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go and eat lunch, and then I will be back. Okay, so I'm back. I've had my lunch, and I'm about to head out to the supermarket because we need to get a little bit, so I'll just do a little bit more. So what have we done here? We've made that simple little tag. Aren't they pretty, with just the more neutral backgrounds and just a little something there? And these are little fun things to store and put use those things when making the journal. That's kind of like a journal card. And then I put in this letter that I folded the old way, where you tuck them in like so. So I slipped that in there, and a nice big journaling spot there, and it's a nice way to be able to add space in a journal like this. I think I might just leave that one, or I could find my where's my Victorian? I know I had my Victorian stuff here. Let me see if I've got anything nice there that I'd like to just sort of stick on, like my old ones that I got from the antique market. Let's have a little look. These are all, let's make that into something. Now, some of these, I don't think I have them in kits yet. I have scanned them all. I did put the original of one in the journal. There it is. But I do have some of these lovely ones that aren't in a kit yet, but they are scanned. So I think that would be really pretty there. I might just glue that there. I found my Tombow refill. I had put it in the cupboard. So I'm glad I found that. So I filled my glue right to the top. So I can use it now. I knew I'd put it somewhere. It was impossible that it didn't come back home. So we'll put that in there. And these Victorian kits are really great because it's, you know, we don't all have original stuff to play with. So you do need some scans if you want to really embellish your thing. Now we need something tall there. I have this lovely piece. I'm not going to use those scissors. I'm going to do another 15 minutes of video, and then I'm going to go to the super with Steffi, because then we have to take Lulu into town to see some of her friends. So what were we talking about before I went and had lunch? Oh yeah, silly man. And yes, I told you he got offended and he said horrible things. And it's very, I mean, he says such rude things to me, I can't tell you. And it was and then all, you know, 4 families, adults, and the decision-making process was a nightmare. I mean, we were like fools. Not me. I won't say I was like a fool. I behaved myself and stayed quiet. But honestly, there was one day, so basically went to the beach in the morning, and the others had come and they were unhappy with the beach. They didn't like the wind, and I understand not enjoying the wind. They didn't go for a swim because if you sat on the beach, it was a bit unpleasant, the wind. And then we went back, and we went to visit Otranto. And there was a big discussion at lunch about what time to go to Otranto, and we were like, well, we want to take photographs, so we don't want to go too late. We don't want to miss the sunshine. And so there was a big discussion and snapping at each other, and I was just like, well, I didn't say it actually, our friend said, well, we're going to go at around 4:30, so anyone who wants to come, we're very happy to have you with us. And otherwise we can meet later. There's no problem if people want to go and have a little sleep or something. I can't tell you how hot it was, guys. It was literally torture walking around in the towns. It was torture, I will say that. And so anyway, so off we went, and they were meant to come and meet us there. So we did our lap around town. I like that. We did a lap around town. I'm just doing very random things here if you didn't notice. And then we telephoned them at about, I think it would have been about 5. And we said, so are you coming, or should we meet you somewhere else? Because we wanted to sit down and have like a, you know, the girls wanted to have a cool drink, and we would have had like maybe aperitivo or something like that. And then they were like, oh no, we're not coming, we've already been there, so, but we're in the car, where do you want to go? Is there somewhere you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know, I've never been here before. And then they said to me, I said, well, what, we were meant to go to this, we had planned to go to this, they call it a sagra, so it was like a sort of like a festival of bruschetta was what we were supposed to go to. And so it was in a town nearby, and I said, why don't we go to the festival of the bruschetta that we were planning to go, and then, you know, then we'll be there for it early. And the nasty man's wife said, oh no, but they don't open until 9. And I'm like, well, we could go there anyway and give the little kids something to eat. And that sort of thing. But anyway, so she said no, and then she rang me, and she said, okay, and she said, why don't you have a think about where to go, have a look and see if there's something you want to go to. And I didn't think there was anything there, but anyway, and then we'll ring you back. So they rang us back and they said, let's go to, and I invented a whole new language, honestly. I couldn't get any of the words right. I thought she said, let's go to Sacastro. Instead she said Castro, which was right down on the heel of the boot. It was a port town on the heel of the boot, but it was sort of down in a valley. And And oh my goodness, the humidity. I don't think I've ever been so hot in my whole life. It was so humid. I mean, we were like all frizz balls with our hair. And I mean, that night was a total disaster. It was a disaster. I mean, the young girls, like Lulu and her friends, would have thought we were absolute, what's wrong with these adults? And I was so hot, I couldn't even speak. My pants were sticking to me. Everything was stuck to me. I kept turning around to my friend, the Nice family, and we just sort of stayed out of it. There were too many people talking, and the others were all like, you know, alphas and wanting to make the decisions, and I was so hot I couldn't even speak. I kept turning around to the Italians. They don't even speak English, and I kept turning around to them and trying to say something, and it would come out half in English and half in Italian, and they'd be looking at me like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I'm hot, I'm frazzled, can't speak. And I tell you what, we got in our cars, and we didn't even know where we were. We got in our cars. Isn't that fun? We got in our cars, and we started driving, and I rang our friend Tin, and I'm like, where are we going? And she's like, I don't know. Like, okay, let's just go back to our town and eat there. So we telephoned them all, and we said, we're going back to town to eat. Who's coming? So we all went back there, and we ended up eating dinner at 11 o'clock at night. But there was a festival. I mean, our town was so nice. I don't know why we always had to go out of town to eat. It was such a nice town. I want to find some ephemera. That's what I need. Some actual real ephemera to put in instead of hoarding it. Yep, so we ended back in our town. We ate dinner at 11, and I can tell you it didn't get better. The night actually went down the toilet a little bit further. I won't bore you with all the details, but it did. And their friend, the guy, the really intelligent one, he went home offended, and I felt so bad for him because they do sort of ignore him. And he, you know, and he was trying to do a nice gesture, and they just sort of shut it all down. It was just like, it was a tough week. We had fun. Like, there were fun things. Like, I'll tell you what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the towns. The towns are lovely. I didn't mind the beach. I didn't mind the beach and swimming. I'm not granted, to all my friends from Puglia who watch on the channel, I'm not really a beachy person, and going to the beach and getting burnt is really stressful for me. So yeah, but I did enjoy it. I love swimming, and I did love the water there for swimming. It was lovely. So that was good. And what else? I've got this. I need to find a home for this. Let's look at our pocket. So I do need to fold it. This is the natural fold, but I'm going to have to fold it differently to fit it in a pocket. And I enjoyed our nice friends' company a lot, and I enjoyed the organisers' friends who I did know because we see them at their place, but I didn't know them that well, and I really enjoyed their company. I will say I was pleasantly surprised. So that's, yeah. So we did have a good time. We actually did have a good time. But there were moments that were difficult. Now, what to do with this piece is I want to put it in a pocket somewhere. I'm not going to be able to finish this in this video. That's going to stay with it. It's very blendy. Oh, it's the same writing, I think. So I need to put this somewhere else. I don't have to go in order and fill my pockets. I don't know why I feel like I do. I'm going to put that one in there if it'll fit. Let's see. Don't tell me I need, excuse me, what is going on here? Yep, so we did have a nice time, and Lulu enjoyed her time with her friends. They you know, they did get a bit tired, the girls getting up in the morning all the time and that sort of thing. So sometimes, no, it's not going to fit in there. We stayed at home and swam in the pool because there was a pool. I can slide that one up there. It's not easy to slide things into the lace. It's really aesthetic. But once you get it up there, it's okay. It doesn't come out necessarily. I'll stick that up there. And I might stick something on there. Let's go into the box of pretty things. Yeah, so it wasn't all bad. Don't think that. But there were some there was a lot of biting my tongue and not saying anything to keep the peace of the group. Let's say that. I did bite my tongue a lot. I love that on there. There we go. Okay, so I think we're going to have another session with this project. I'm going to go off to the supermarket with my hubby, and I will see you tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let's just recap. So that was all done. What have we done today? Not as much as I wanted to because I got to go out. We did this and we did that. And this, I like all of this. That's from one of those new kits. Oh, I pulled it out of the thing. There we go. In you go. We did that last time. Made this. I love that. So you just attach things and then just cover it, and it's just pretty. It just works out. So those can just slide in there. Now, if you want these to sort of stay, because they could slip out because it's a loose pocket, you just put a little paper clip there. These are going to stay plain like that unless I decide to put something on them. I need to make something for there. Quite a bit still to do. That's already there. Got to find something for there. Got to do something there. It's still a lot to do. So I won't get it all done today. So we'll just finish off here and we've done that. Okay. So I just wanted to pop in and say hello. Not a very long video, but I will be back tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching and have a lovely Sunday. Bye.